Thank you, Madam Chair, for the opportunity to speak today. I am Ging Cristobal, a Filipino lesbian activist since 1996. Today, I am speaking about Article 2 and Article 26, the right to equality before the law and the right to live free from discrimination. Over 16 years of activism, we have seen and personally collected data about 163 murdered LGBT persons who were brutally stabbed, shot, raped, strangled, suffocated, burned, tortured, poisoned, dismembered, and killed execution style. Yet even a token government statement condemning the death of an LGBT person and hate crime has been non-existent. In April of this year in Pasay City, police officers illegally arrested, detained, robbed, and verbally and physically abused more than 70 transgender people and gay men. It yet another occasion when the state applied the public scandal law of the revised penal code and the anti-trafficking law to arbitrarily arrest and disrupt the right to assembly and association of LGBT persons. The state told us it might correct these laws if only an LGBT person would file a complaint. Yet, we just want the state to commit to address the discriminatory and corrupt application of the law. Based on its answers to the committee's list of issues, the state seemed to be arguing that yes, there have been advances in LGBT rights. However, the state's efforts have been too inconsistent for us to see evidence that our issues are taken seriously. For example, in August this year, the President of the Philippines removed sexual orientation from the list of groups protected from discrimination in the Reproductive Health Bill currently pending in Congress. And in the recent Philippine Universal Periodic Review, the government did not accept the only LGBT-related recommendation that sought the passage of an anti-discrimination legislation. For the past 12 years, the anti-discrimination bill has been languishing in Congress. And yet, there is an opportunity today. There's a version pending in Congress right now, awaiting harmonization between the House and Senate version. And we want LGBT rights named alongside other categories. Please help us make this case to the government of the Philippines. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm Jonas Bagas, a gay activist from the Philippines, and today I will speak about Article 16 and 25. What must be accounted for in this committee is why there's difference between the text of the ICCPR and the everyday reality for many Filipino lesbians, gays, bisexuals, and transgenders. The treaty embodies human dignity, but the reality represents exclusion. First, the treaty says that we have the right to be recognized as a person before the law, but for many transgenders, the truth is different. Because of the failure of the state to recognize their gender identity, they endure humiliation and dehumanization. They're forced to undress before immigration officials, forced to appear masculine in their passport photos because their official identification documents do not match their gender. The Supreme Court sanctioned these acts of dehumanization when it banned the changing of one's sex in official documents in 2007 on the basis of the immutability of sex. Instead of curing this unjust decision, the government signed into law Republic Act 10172 last August 2012, thereby legislating the prohibition imposed by the Supreme Court. Second, the treaty affirms the right to participate in public affairs, and yet LGBTs face barriers to public service. The military, for instance, seems to think that media pronouncements stating that it welcomes LGBTs are enough to correct the deeply embedded culture of homophobia in the military. But what's needed is a non-discrimination policy in the military, not mere press statements. Media sound bites, of which we have plenty, won't protect a gay soldier from being unfairly dismissed from the service due to his sexuality. Only a non-discrimination policy can, and of that we have none. Third, in public service, the Supreme Court corrected the Commission on Elections' scriptural fundamentalism in the case of Ang Ladlad Party. But basic fairness in political participation doesn't end in the accreditation of one's LGBT party. What has been done to push political parties to encourage political participation of marginalized communities? What has been done to ensure that the rule of law and not religious bigotry is the basis of our election policies? What has been done to change our national conversation so that a candidate running for any post is weighed because of his ideals and vision and not because of his sexual orientation and gender identity? The Philippine government would most likely cite deficits in legislation to explain some of these gaps. But while it is true that laws are necessary, legislative inertia and inaction must not be viewed as a dead end. The President has broad powers to provide for rules to execute his or her constitutional mandate, which in the words of our Constitution includes this: the state values the dignity of every human person and guarantees full respect for human rights. Thank you, Madam Chair.